it is the primary driver or the lead indicator for so many health consequences. So for a very long time, and still a lot of people focus on training. They focus on sport and they focus on what their child is doing for multiple days of the week and multiple sports. But the key thing around adolescence and in general, but with respect to puberty is a huge energy cost to the body. So going through all those changes that we talked about is huge in terms of what's required for energy just to support those processes. When you then add on just general physiological processes like breathing, sleeping, brain function, school, work, home, your social interactions with their friends, and then you add training with puberty, that's your total energy demands for a child and for an adolescent. And so when we're talking about nutrition, it's really important to understand that we're not just fueling the training, we're fueling growth and development, we're fueling thinking, critical thinking, we're fueling for school, we're fueling for social life. And so the actual energy demands of being a teenager are really high. And so we want parents and we want coaches to really be supporting that this whole eating out of house and home is actually a real thing, and it actually should be encouraged. Whilst it's financially a bit of a strain and sometimes you feel like you're tidying up and cleaning up for hours, the fact that those children are eating lots is a really good sign, and we should be more switched on to the ones that aren't. So when we talk about this concept of low energy availability, this is a really important concept to understand because it is the primary driver or the lead indicator for so many health consequences, especially not only in female athletes, but in male. But in female, the reason it's become, it's really big is because it does have the ability to turn off this reproductive and endocrine system, this menstrual cycle. And so it's become quite apparent in some females because we can measure it. So low energy availability is when those calories that you're taking in, or when that nutrition that you're taking in, and then you take away the energies that you're burning through exercise. So through exercise and training and all these other things is less than what you actually need to function as a human, then you're in low energy availability. So the thing that I sort of put on my piece of paper here is if you roughly just looked at that plate, that knife and fork, and you said, well, let's just put some really rough figures in. 2,000 calories they ate for the day, but they did some sport and they did a whole lot of it in that day and they burnt 1,500 calories. So what you actually need just to cover those two things, normal physiological function, the amount of food you eat, and the exercise that you're doing, if you put the 2,000 and the 1,500 together, you actually need 3,500, not just 1,500 that you're burning through exercise. So it's really important to know that the food thing is a big thing, and energy availability is a really real thing. So low energy availability means that the energy levels are not being met for that adolescent, and that's when we can run into these other issues, health and performance issues that may lead to a syndrome called RED-S, which is relative energy deficiency in sport. And no doubt a lot of you will have heard of that. Now, low energy availability happens for all sorts of reasons. It happens both intentionally and it happens unintentionally, and we can go through that, but I'm just going to run out of time. So it's important, yes, we want to make sure that we're encouraging fueling pre and post training, that we're fueling for the days leading up and the days leading after, that if we're worried about people and we have the resources, have food at training. Encourage parents, please encourage your children to take more things to school. I've heard of kids who are doing a lot of sport to be taking like it's the equivalent of a little mini chili bin, and that's kind of what we're talking about, sort of 4 to 6 kind of meal day. So it's a big energy cost and it's a big investment in future health. So just aware, I've got some slides on RED-S, so if we've got some time, we'll just have a wee look at that.